Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah.
On Pulse 95.
I want to tell you something.
Yes, Aisha.
You might not believe me, but I genuinely thought it was Sunday today.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't blame you.
I was so confused when I saw Amaraduri walk in. I was like, what are you doing?
Oh, does he have a Sunday special?
Like, what is I was like, what is going on? What is this? Why are you here then? And is it Monday? And I was like, it is Monday then. And it took me a while. I was like, no, it's not even Monday. It's Wednesday.
I think it's understandable. You know, you're juggling between the SIBF hosting and the Afternoon Karak hosting.
Maybe.
So that might have mixed up your schedule just a bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because I was completely confused just seeing him sitting down with his guest. I was like... And I love how I went from Sunday to Monday. And I was convinced, like, okay, it's Monday. When actually tomorrow is Thursday.
Don't worry.
And
it's Wednesday, my dude.
It's Wednesday, my dudes. Wait, I didn't put it today. Where? I can't find it.
It is Wednesday, my dude.
It was Welcome to the Afternoon Karak, where we will be talking about all kinds of things, entertainment, everything in between. Lots of fun. We have a celebration that is actually sort of an awareness day about something that I'm pretty sure everybody had enough of, especially in the year of 2020. There's a pandemic that is still ravaging a lot of countries and a lot of communities. And today is the day to basically face this and try to calm down. Here is your hint as to what our celebration is.
And also, in an ironic twist, Ubisoft's Watchdog Legion, a game all about hacking, just got hacked.
The irony.
Oh, man. We got all the details for that, so we'll be talking about it later as well. We know that also PlayStation is going to be launching very soon, Xbox Series X. Mm-hmm. But it seems that the boss of PlayStation is very confident about this launch. And I actually would love to talk about the comparison between the PS3 and the PS4 and
Absolutely.
What we can expect from the PS5 as well.
And it's funny because there's a good amount of people who are already just super disappointed about the games that will be available at launch when the PS5 is finally out very, very soon. So we can definitely have a comparison. We're going to be talking about WandaVision and the fact that it's absent from the November teaser, even though I spoke when you weren't here. I spoke about how it probably will have a November date since it was up there on their schedule. But now it's like, when are we going to get WandaVision? Is it going to happen at the end of December, mid-December, beginning of December? Is it still at the sometime November? We're going to be chatting about that and much more right here on the Afternoon Karak. So make sure you're tuning in from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. only here on Pulse 95.
What's the date?
What's the date?
What's the date?
What are we celebrating today?
The pandemic. We're not celebrating the pandemic. No, we are not. But we are celebrating one of the main effects or impacts of the pandemic, and that is stress. Because today is, we're not saying Happy Stress Day. It is Stress Awareness Day.
Yes, this is a very crucial thing that a lot of people, I think, take for granted. And I think even it starts off with the fact that people don't even admit they're stressed in the first place.
Yes. We always talk about the idea of overworking yourself to death because we think that that's what productivity means, is that I need to be busy the entire time. I need to overwhelm myself to show everybody that I am truly doing something, and not necessarily to show other people sometimes, just to prove to yourself.
Yeah.
And that just has a lot of bad impact, whether it's on your body, on your mood, or even on your behavior. You can get headaches, migraines, muscle tensions, fatigue, sleep problems, and just upset your stomach. You can become anxious. You can become restless. You lose your motivation, focus. You start feeling overwhelmed. You are irritable or angry. You are overeating, undereating. You might have some sort of drug misuse because you're just like, I'm tired of this. I want to find something out of it. You might have some angry outbursts. Tobacco use, social withdrawal, you end up exercising less. And this is just a small list of things that can happen to you because of stress. there's so many things that are factors when you're talking about, especially when it comes to mental health. It will always affect you physically at some point, and of course, again, will also affect your behavior.
And the biggest issue with this is that a lot of us don't know how to tackle stress.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I think it's very important, especially now, whatever age you're in, to find a support system.
Definitely.
A way to de-stress, because you don't want to accumulate this feeling, and you don't want to self-implode.
Oh, no.
Because it's very unhealthy, physically,
Absolutely.
Emotionally, and mentally, and it even ripples to your loved ones. It ripples to your lifestyle. It ripples to your just everyday life at work.
And it also eventually, like I said earlier, it will affect you physically, and it might have long-term effects. Do not keep it inside you. Find ways to detangle all these emotions, detangle all that stress out, lay it bare, and find ways to de-stress. One of the ways, for example, is finding a hobby. And even finding a hobby when you're super stressed out, anxious, and maybe it might cause, if you have depression and other mental health problems, it becomes incredibly hard to find something you love and passionate about without feeling either guilty about not giving other things their time, or just feeling like, no, I don't have time, or this is not the right thing, and to find the right thing. Take care of yourself.
Yes.
That is what we're celebrating today. We're celebrating you, our listeners, and we're celebrating everybody around the world, because we want you to take care of yourself and, of course, to love yourself. Coming up next, Enola Holmes. Bad news from the Sherlock Holmes estate, or the Conan or Arthur Doyle estate, who claim that Sherlock Holmes was stolen. Let's talk about that and much more right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Pulse 95.
Netflix's latest adaptation of Enola Holmes was a success. A lot of people liked it. You know, we reviewed it, gave it a pretty decent score.
Yeah.
And we're all hoping that in the near future we might get more sequels of it. I feel like they've laid the foundation for a whole Enola Holmes series. However, in some bad news recently, the producers of Netflix have been hit with a lawsuit by Conan Doyle Estate, which is the estate that owns the Sherlock Holmes franchise.
Yeah.
Claiming that they infringed, they allege that they have infringed on the copyright and violated the trademark of Sherlock Holmes. And specifically focused on Henry Cavill's Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
The reason for this, it's very weird. Basically, whenever a property, intellectual property, is made and the author of it or the creator dies, there is a 70-year trademark that protects that intellectual property, and then it becomes public domain. And that is in the United Kingdom. In the States, it's a little bit different. It's actually 95 years. And there's this whole debacle with Disney and how they're still trying to extend the trademark for Mickey Mouse because they don't want Mickey Mouse to be public domain.
No. A lot of companies going to take advantage of that if they did that.
So Sherlock Holmes is a UK intellectual property, but they're doing this lawsuit in New Mexico, and they're utilizing the 95-year trademark policy against Netflix. You see that little weird loophole that they're trying to do?
I'll tell you, the thing is, it's a bit shady simply because they could have, charged or sued Nancy Springer, the author of Enola Holmes, a long time ago, because this book is not new. This entire series is not new.
Yeah.
The fact that they waited until, it made a successful Netflix adaptation of it, we would like some money from this. We want to get some sort of profit from this, even though Nancy Springer is an American author, so they could have hit her with a lawsuit a long time ago.
I feel like even the attorneys that represent Netflix already have an easygoing case, because I don't think it's going to go anywhere. They're trying to find a quirk in the system itself and taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
And hopefully Netflix will get through this.
I think they will
Sherlock Holmes
too.
is technically supposed to be public domain.
The thing is the domain itself, I don't think it was, it's not copyrighted or trademarked in the U.S., is it?
No.
So this makes no sense that you take somebody's law and you're like, oh, I like that. I'm going to apply it to my whatever I have right now. I want to use it against you. Does not work like that. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I feel like it really doesn't. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
So I think their case, just like you said, is going to be it's not going to work out.
It's not going to be compelling.
It's not going to be compelling. We just need to wait and see in the upcoming days. And of course, the afternoon Karak will report back on it whenever we get some information. Coming up next, WandaVision. What is happening there? What is happening in Disney Plus? We have no idea. Let's chat about that. Text us for 215 Etisalat or do and join in the conversation. Slide into our DMs at Pulse 95 Radio on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. We are everywhere. We're also streaming live from YouTube, so you can tune in and watch us right now. I'm wearing green. If you want to see how I look like in green, this is where...
She's looking good.
I look good in green, guys. It is my color as well. So join us on YouTube at Pulse 95 Radio. Like I said, coming up next, some MCU news.
Not in the news?
Not in the news. Weirdness that happened
Today.
True story.
The pandemic obviously did not only just give us stress, it also took away a lot of all of Marvel content. And of course, it also became very hard for a lot of people who started losing their jobs to pay for a lot of things, some necessities, whether they're groceries, their rent, and also tuition fees. But apparently, a university in Tagalang, I hope I said it right. I'm sorry to any of our Indonesian speakers who hear me. I apologize a lot, profusely. But this university in Bali have allowed their college students to pay their tuition fees with, drumroll please, coconuts.
Now that's a bargain. I mean, I'd love to do something like this. You know, it's the fact that you can just go on and because Indonesia is comprised of how many islands? Thousands of islands.
A lot of islands.
Grab yourself a raft, just go to any of those many islands and harvest some
you
coconuts.
make it sound like it's so easy, like the island is just right over across, it's like walking across the road. No, Mikhail. First of all, there's a good chance that there are coconuts across the entire island of Bali. I haven't been there, but I've seen some pictures and it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I'm, again, pretty sure they just grow on Bali itself. And like we said, they can just go around, find specific places where they're allowed to get these coconuts and use them, because those coconuts are being used to harvest virgin coconut oil at the school itself.
And I think also from the Venus One Tourism Academy, an official has talked about the fact that this acts as not only as a way to help the production for the coconut oil, but also anything in forms of like herbal soaps and, you know, body care products.
Yeah.
And in a way, they are also sort of encouraging students to develop their entrepreneurial skills.
Very much. So it's like they're kind of cut them some slack. And at the same time, they're also teaching them some valuable skills, and they already got a permit from their local authorities to have a student permit to be doing all of this. This is wonderful news for all of them. Again, it's also, maybe that's also a way to de-stress, besides the fact that they don't need to think about their tuition anymore that much, but also like just doing that, the whole movement, sort of an exercise. And it's also being out in the sun a little bit, getting that vitamin D, soaking it in, you know, just basically being outside and outdoors can also help you de-stress
Really
very much.
earning your 3 credit hours. I wonder how many 3 credit hours would cost, like 100 coconuts, 200 coconuts?
I have no idea. That's actually a
like
very
that.
good question. I was wondering, I was looking through the article to know how many coconuts it would count. Like,
And is there coconut discounts if you get like...
Mikhail, you're already getting a discount by having to get coconuts instead of
I'm just saying, if
money.
I have a good GPA, do I get a discount and I have to pay less coconuts for the credits?
I don't know. Maybe they implement it in the UAE and we can, you know, get dates instead, because there are a lot of palm trees across. So why not, you know, just... I don't think we should be climbing palm trees, though. That's very dangerous.
Hey, if I'm going to pay coconuts for college tuition, I would do that.
You don't care about
I'd go full Tom Hanks Castaway, bro. Honestly.
Well, yeah, that might work out. Coming up next, we've got more stories, more fun, more stuff to talk about. We're going to be talking about the PlayStation 5 lineup at launch and how the PlayStation 5 boss thinks that he's very confident about it. So let's talk about that after this short break and a lovely throwback.
This is Pulse 95.
At launch, the PlayStation 5 will have 9 games plus a big array of PlayStation 4 games available. And the question is that enough? According to PS's boss, he says that yes, because if you compare it to the previous generations, it is way more than they offered back then. But still, the question rises once more, is that enough?
You know, as a PlayStation fan who has lived through these, past generations from the PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4,
yeah,
I think there's some merit to what Jim Ryan is saying here. The PS3 was not the best launch. It came out with an abysmal amount of storage as well as a price that was way too high.
Yeah.
And launch games that didn't really, I would say, utilize the hardware at the time. I think there was only the most memorable game was Resistance.
Yeah.
And then in a way they sold the PlayStation 3 at a loss for a very long time, and it was only until the last part of that life cycle that it started to really break even and make anything lucrative for Sony.
Yeah.
And then PS4 comes along and it promises a more network oriented community, like such as party chats and streaming and sharing your footage. And again, its launch titles wasn't really something I would say. They had Infamous Second Son, they had Knack, but those were kind of games showing off what the PlayStation 4 could do. And I feel the PS5 now has come to a point where they're releasing the kind of games that adhere to various groups of gamers.
Yeah.
If you really want something that is challenging and adventurous, then go for Demon Souls. But if you want something that's light and something you can play with your friends, there's Sackboy Adventure coming out. And it's just these 9 games already right from the get-go tells you so much about how Sony has refined their studios, their vision when it comes to creating a more community-oriented space for gamers, and they're focused on trying to create a seamless transition for all PS4 players, which is about 100 million plus, to the PS5, and it just shows that. There is, again, some merit to what Jim Ryan is saying here.
But
Xbox at the same time.
30 new games playable on the day. 20 of them with smart delivery, which means that they'll be instantly upgraded if they have the new generation.
Yes.
And thousands of backward compatible titles across 4 generations.
And don't forget the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with the xCloud streaming service.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I am a PlayStation fan, I look at it more objectively. Xbox really has something worthy of competing here against PlayStation.
Which is why I'm saying that is what he's saying. He's boasting about something when if you look at your competitor, what is your competitor doing? They are like miles and miles ahead of you right now.
Yeah.
What you're saying doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't resonate with a lot of fans. They're probably very much upset. I think I saw a streamer who was angry that they basically have 2 games in their head. They have 2 games to pick from on the first day of the PS5 launch, and they're both, to them, they're very abysmal. They're not the type of games they would go for, maybe, especially at launch. Again, but if you compare it to the Nintendo Switch that barely had anything, so I understand that, but at the same time, look at your competitor.
Yeah.
They're ahead of you. Should you be boasting, or should you be just quiet and try to be humble and just wait it out and try to push your loyal fans to keep on supporting you, to say the very least?
I really am cheering for Microsoft's success, especially with the smart delivery.
Absolutely.
I think that will definitely push PlayStation to start doing that on with all of their first-party studio games.
Absolutely.
And, I think from these competing brands, throughout the generations, they've both made mistakes. Xbox One was one of the biggest examples. I look back, but to see it now really standing strong against Sony, and we're just days away from these two big next generation consoles coming out.
Yeah.
And I think instead of the whole confidence and who's better, I think I'm really just happy to see that both of these brands refine themselves in the games and the features that they provide.
But
for the
remember what I
consoles.
told you a while back, that they both have peaked in terms, and when it comes to technology, they have both peaked. That is what happens when it comes to any sort of technology you have. You will reach a certain point where maybe you cannot go past that. So it all goes down to another factor. And to this generation, the biggest factor is being user-friendly. And for that, Microsoft is winning. We're going to be talking about another game that it will be available on launch day, also on the Xbox Series X, and that is Legion's Watch Dogs. And what is happening there? Some irony, some cosmic irony. Let's talk about this after the short break.
Pulse 95.
I don't want to laugh, but this just very much sounds like some cosmic irony at play. It's like, how can I say this? Even when I'm trying to think of examples, I cannot, because this is just too funny. This is way too funny.
It is the most perfect irony when it comes to this story. So, in an ironic turn of events, Ubisoft's Watch Dogs Legions, a game all about hacking, actually got its source code hacked by a group, a ransomware gang called Egregor, back in October, and have claimed to have access to the internal networks of both Ubisoft and Crytek and stole quite a bit of data.
560 gigabytes worth of oh my god, that's a lot of data.
You know, when somebody says they acquired the source code for the game, that means they've acquired the entire blueprint of it. And that means that the game will obviously, whoever has their hands on it could basically put mods on it, can crack the anti-piracy protection that's on it. And the fact that it's also being leaked online is not really good. And I really feel bad for Ubisoft, but at the same time, I can't help but giggle over the irony.
Yes, especially since you think that Ubisoft, I mean, it's not some small game developing team, it's Ubisoft. They should have done better, a little bit better. I understand that people make mistakes here and there, developers are human, but again, you think that they would have done a better job at this, especially since these sort of groups have existed for a long time, and they are quite dangerous because they can hold this data ransom and ask for a ton of money. And this is Ubisoft, so they can probably ask for millions and millions if they do not get caught.
I think for Ubisoft at the moment, they're trying to investigate how this even happened in the first place.
Ooh, a lot of people will get fired.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be put into question, and at the same time, the other question is, will Ubisoft crack and give them what they want, or will they actually go out of their way to find these people and get them arrested, throw a lawsuit at them? Because this is a big deal. A source code for a game that's been in development for God knows how many years.
Yeah.
A lot of marketing, a lot of money and talent went into a project like this, and now it's being stripped away by these gang of hackers. Ironically speaking, is a real shame. And
it's a shame.
There's going to be some repercussions out of this.
Oh, yeah,
from both parties.
definitely. There's going to be a big mess, but we just need to wait and see what happens. We have to wait for Ubisoft's response because we still don't know what their next step, or maybe they might do it internally and not tell us. We have no idea. It's going to be very stressful for a lot of people, but what's not stressful is our suggestion of the day coming up next, so stay tuned for that.
It's almost 5 p.m.
That was Afternoon Karak. For dessert,
Aisha and Mikhail suggest...
I think this bed is a bit too loud for what we're suggesting because we want people to de-stress, right?
You're absolutely right.
So I think that we should go for this one instead.
A little more somber, more calm.
Exactly.
And
Because
that's the point of today's suggestion. Aisha is stressing the fact that she's stressing the idea that we really need to tackle our stress.
Yes.
Find ways to relieve ourselves. Find ways to de-stress, because if we don't, it just gets worse for us.
I'm talking as a person who has IBS, that is basically taking your stress and keeping it in your gut and having lifelong repercussions of living with it. And I'm pretty sure people have made a lot of mistakes, whether it is with their health or by making some stupid decisions. I'm sorry I said stupid, but those decisions you're like, why did I do that? Those decisions sometimes can be affected by being stressed out or by when you're feeling anxious, you're feeling all kinds of things. So that can just greatly impact your entire life. Your entire projection of where you're going can be completely altered. So here are some ideas, just off the top of my head, on how to avoid that. And one of them is, please give yourself some time. And I don't mean like an hour or 5 or 10 minutes, because I feel like it takes just an hour of me not moving for me to go into a normal, calm state of mind. So maybe find 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, and you'll be thinking, Aisha, that's way too much. No, you deserve the best, and you deserve those 5 hours or 4 hours of taking a full break where you can just completely desaturate, take everything, just like a sponge, just sit there and de-stress it.
Yeah.
Get it all out of your system.
Stepping away from being yourself for a day.
Exactly, yes. Find something else, do something. Find those shows that can be de-stressing, that can be completely mindless. We've got plenty of them because those are my favorite type of shows. If you check out our recommendations, I know it looks like a shameless plug-in, but I genuinely think that there are so many shows or things you can watch and do, whether it's on Netflix, Amazon Prime TV, or wherever you watch, even alternative links. And you can just check them out and they can help you just de-stress. One of my favorite ones is Jeopardy. I like turning on Jeopardy on TV and just laying down and just answering the questions or doing something else. If you're a video game, enthusiast, get your video games. Find a video game that's completely unstressful. There's Harvest Moon, there's Stardew Valley. There are so many games out there. There's so many things you can do. Go to a spa, obviously, with precautionary measures. Wear your mask and go to a well-sanitized place, etc., etc. Get your hair done. Do all kinds of things. Read a book. Maybe, read a magazine. Maybe avoid the newspaper. It's a very stressful day with election day in the United States. So maybe stay away from the news. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that find something that can make you feel just, like you're floating.
Yes.
It's very difficult. Just like I said, to take all these things on your shoulders, just take them off and put them aside for a bit. I'm not telling you to throw them away because, of course, you're going to need to tackle these issues and problems eventually. You cannot run away from them. You cannot run away from your job, from your family, from your friends, etc. All these obligations, everything you need to pay off, etc. But you can put them aside for a bit. Again,
To add to that, I wanted to also say that especially when you're feeling like you have no control over the world around you, my best de-stress technique is to pray.
Well,
very, very vital.
That is one way to de-stress. And with that, we say also you can de-stress by listening to Yellow Home, Big House, Anna Schofield. Coming up next, only here on Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.